The Marty and Laura Show is brought to you by Veterinary Village. With locations throughout Wisconsin, Veterinary Village is dedicated to enhancing the quality of animal and human lives today and into the future. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Marty and Laura Show. I am Laura.
And I happen to be Marty. How coincidental is that?
Imagine that. There's only two of us, 50-50 chance, right?
Exactly.
Excellent. So we thought we would tackle kind of a tough topic today. We usually have listeners that send in their topic requests. Today I'm sending in my topic requests. So y'all just, there you go. Cancer in our pets, cats and dogs. There are, it's a brutal, horrible, icky thing in people and in dogs. In dogs, we see some of the most common cancers. We see hemangiosarcoma, we see lymphoma, some of these, and there are believed to be, and you have some data about environmental causes. There are perhaps some pieces that they're trying to track down that there's an genetic component. And so I feel like this is it's a big meaty topic. We're going to kind of break it down a little bit. What do you think?
I think it's great. I think there's so much unknown that if anybody is starting the episode with the expectation that we're here to cure cancer, we're not. We're not here to diagnose or cure all of it, but I still think it's a topic that's worth discussing because it's a really difficult topic for clients. And I think it's a difficult topic for veterinarians as well. And I think sometimes veterinarians will kind of tag something as being cancer because they don't know what else to call it. And they can see that the pet is really seriously ill and suffering. And sometimes just hearing that, I think it's cancer and it's okay to let her go or it's okay to let him go is as comforting as you can be at the end of a very difficult and challenging illness. So, I see a lot of veterinarians that'll say, oh, I think he has brain cancer when they have seizures. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily always the case, but these are definitely progressive diseases that cause suffering. So whether we can dial it in and say exactly the kind of cancer it is or that we have a suspicion of it, it's still a legitimate diagnosis to say that if your pet is suffering, it's better to let them go than to continue suffering if there's no evidence that we have something we can do to improve their quality and length of life.
Right. So let's talk about I wanted to start with some of the environmental and just to kind of give listeners a background. An associate of mine had one of my dogs and two of her puppies from different litters and a whole nother breed, and had my own dog in her care for a while. And all of these dogs now, 3, 4, 5 dogs, have either been diagnosed with or are deceased from cancer in the span of 3 years, following her neighbor applying some sort of pesticide that needed warnings that you shouldn't be around it. So, hard to nail some of this down, but it feels like gut check, like, hi, environmental. So talk to us through some of what we know, what we don't know about stuff like this.
Unfortunately, there's more that we don't know than we do know. Are there environmental causes? Yeah, there probably are. There's class action suits for things like Roundup and associated with lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in people. So there's definitely some strength of the argument. We know that certain toxins and, for instance, cigarette smoke, there's a strong correlation with cigarette smoke, not only for our people that are exposed and secondhand smoke for our people, but secondhand smoke for our pets, and even worse for cats, that they end up with particulate matter in their coats. And there's some pretty strong evidence that the grooming acts that cats do that dogs don't do as extensively will pick up that particulate matter, and it doesn't just cause some of the cancers, it may cause additional cancers. There's indications that it can cause cancer in the mouth, squamous cell cancer in the mouth, indications in people that it can cause bladder cancer as well as oral cancers. So there's definitely some pretty strong evidence for some of the environmental causes. But we have people that ask us regularly when they come in and we make a diagnosis of cancer, well, doc, how did my dog get cancer? Well, it's the same answer as how did grandma get cancer or dad get cancer or I get cancer, as we don't know all of the underlying causes. Do we think that there's some correlation and causation? Yes, we do. Can we say that there are specific things? Not consistently enough. I have a client who has a friend that was at Chernobyl. I think we've got very strong evidence that things like Chernobyl were pretty catastrophic for causing cancer.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go very far to that doesn't take much of a stretch of the imagination. And the 9/11 situation with the buildings and
Right.
the Twin Towers and the evidence that some of the toxins that were spewed into the air during that whole event were causing cancer, you know, there's strong evidence of that. But can we say this and this, you know, is there a definite correlation or is there some kind of a relationship? And we don't know exactly. In our practice, we are just south of the Fox Valley, which is the paper mill company's headquarters in the Neenah, Wisconsin, Fox Valley, Neenah, Menasha, Green Bay, that area. That's where all the paper processing happens for toilet paper and Kleenex and Huggies diapers and all the stuff. We see a higher incidence of parathyroid gland cancer in dogs in that community and the surrounding communities than we do in the rest of the world, to the point that the radiologists that we use can ultrasound a dog's neck if we think that the dog has parathyroid cancer based on a calcium spike and a blood test that suggests it's parathyroid gland tumors. She can now ultrasound the parathyroid glands and make the determination that, you know, this gland, not this gland, is the one that needs to be removed
Wow.
surgically. So
Wow.
yeah, there's some stuff. Has
Wow.
anybody done an actual study on it?
Right.
No, but they
Aaron
need to.
Brockovich. I'm just saying we need a world full of Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, there was a lot to be said for that whole storyline
Mm,
and the additional things that are out there. So
mm.
it's definitely a thing.
Well, we know it's a thing, we just don't have enough data about it. But there is one environmental thing that we do have really good data about that does correlate with cancer. Spay neuter.
Which one? Spay
Spay
neuter,
neuter.
absolutely. Absolutely. We know that we see four kinds of cancer more frequently in dogs and particularly dogs because we don't have the studies on cats, causing four kinds of cancer, increased risk of lymphoma, lymphosarcoma, which is lymph node cancer, increased risk of hemangiosarcoma, spleen cancer, usually in the spleen, but it can be in other vascular beds, increased risk of osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer, and an increased risk of mast cell tumors. So those four we know are higher. Now, the things that we know are protective are spaying before the dog is 2 years old. We see much less mammary cancer, but I will tell you, I rarely see a dog that dies of mammary cancer, even in a practice that has as many intact females as ours. We
Mm,
rarely see a dog that dies of it. I can count on this many fingers how many dogs I've seen die of breast cancer, but
wow.
I can tell you that we see this many cases of lymphoma, hemangiosarcoma, osteosarcoma, and mast cell tumors in a month. So if you look at the incidence, you have to say that we're actually protecting dogs against those four kinds of cancer: mast cell tumor, osteosarcoma, hemangiosarcoma, and lymphosarcoma, by leaving them intact. And there's some really compelling evidence that's been published from Benjamin and Lynn Hart out of UC Davis in their retrospective study at the vet school records. We see a lot of David Waters' work where he did the old gray muzzle tour with the Rottweilers.
Mhm.
And his line, that my favorite line, is a lot of dogs, when they get to be in the age group that he was studying, which were the exceptionally elderly female Rottweilers that he drove across the country in his car
Mhm.
to visit in their homes, he was seeing Rottweilers that were 15 and 16 years old that were dying of frailty with cancer, but not of cancer. And there's a huge distinction there.
Mhm.
Is, does your dog have cancer or does your dog have a disease associated with cancer? And
Right.
then, you know, there's just all these other really important studies that are out there that a lot of veterinarians are kind of poo-pooing and
Mm,
saying that they don't really think are significant. So it's not just cruciates, it's not just urinary incontinence and obesity and all the other stuff that goes with it, but there's definitely a higher correlation of dogs that are spayed and neuter young that die from cancer. And I get those phone calls in my practice on a regular daily basis because we do ovary-sparing spays, because we do vasectomies. So clients in the Chicago area, in the Minneapolis area, in parts of the states that are surrounding us that don't have that as an option, from their regular veterinary clinic or anybody even close to them in their regular veterinary clinic. They've read the studies, they understand them. They say, my last dog died of, or my last two corgis died from lymphoma, my last Rottweiler died from osteosarcoma, my last golden retriever died from lymphoma or hemangiosarcoma. I can't go through that again. Please tell me that you have something that you can do as an alternative. And the answer is yes, we can. So I think that it's really important that clients know that they have an option. So clearly we see more testicular cancer if the dog isn't neutered, and we see more mammary cancer if the female isn't spayed. But I can tell you I've never seen a dog die from testicular cancer, and I've seen this many dogs die from breast cancer. So let's put that in perspective and say, okay, back up the train here and don't believe everything that your veterinarian has historically been telling you. And it may not be their fault. That's what we were taught in veterinary school, but they're all grown-up veterinarians now. They can all read the literature.
Continuing education is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Google it, folks. You can read Benjamin Hart's articles. You can read Lynn and Benjamin Hart's articles and David Waters' articles. They're all on our website. You can go in and read them. Iris Reichler has a bunch of stuff on there. So take some time. Go to the website. It's smallanimalclinic.com, so you don't even have to spell anything hard.
We'll put
and then you go to Spay
in the show notes.
Go to the Spay Neuter controversy, click on it, and then go read the articles. They're not just what I'm saying. These are research articles that are published in the refereed journals that allow you to go in and read this. And what people forget is that they think that if you take out the ovaries or you take out the testicles, that those are that is the only part of the reproductive organs that exist. Well, every single cell in your body has receptors for estrogen, for progesterone, for testosterone. And even if you're a girl, you have testosterone. And even if you're a guy, you have estrogen and progesterone, just in different variations and quantities. But every cell in your body has receptors for those. So there's really good studies that show that the receptors on the organs, like the lymph nodes, are affected by having the ovaries and the testicles removed. So I think it's important that people are educating themselves, looking at what their options are.
Well, and I just, like I said, there's so much we don't know. When we have things that we do know, it's worth paying attention to, for sure.
Right. And not only know, but can control.
Right.
You can control this. There's certain things in your environment, like what your neighbor does, what the farmer down the road does, what they do to your food at the grocery store, that you can't control. But you can control. Do you drink bottled water out of the bottles that have those little microplastics in them? What risk factors are you putting yourself at by not taking care of the things that you can control for yourself and your pets?
Right. And, like I said, the neighbors spraying pesticides, like at a certain point, a person that loses 4 or 5 dogs in a row, just that's a freaking body blow. And young dogs, these were not elderly dogs. These were all 5 to 7 years old.
Right. And we live in the country. We have a crop duster that goes over our house every year. And when I hear the crop duster in the air, man, the dogs, I'm dragging them in the house quick, and they're not going out for a while. And, even if they're not crop dusting my specific property, they are near enough that there's drift. So it's a concern. It ends up in the groundwater. It ends up in your drinking water. So which is better? Is it better to drink water out of a plastic bottle? Is it better to drink water out of a well? Is it better to drink water out of the tap where they add other chlorine and fluoride and other things to it? Who knows the answer?
I know. We all are doing the best we can. And I think that is kind of part of the frustration. We all do the best we can to live clean. Some of us live cleaner than others.
Eat right.
Do all the things, and then something like this comes up and broadsides you upside the head like a pole axe.
Doggett simplifies the puppy buying journey by connecting families with the perfect breed and responsible, health-verified breeders. They are the only breeder marketplace that verifies health clearances and responsible breeding practices. Through their personalized puppy matcher tool and matchmaker services, they educate and guide buyers every step of the way, ensuring a seamless process and a perfect match for their lifestyle. From initial breed consultation to introductions with top breeders, Doggett makes responsible puppy ownership easy and stress-free.
Dog breeding is more than a hobby. At its best, it's an all-consuming quest to create something lasting and beautiful in the world. We are super excited to announce that the groundbreaking series Pedigrees to Pups is now streaming live on Doggett. Dr. Marty Greer and I teamed up to offer a complete 360-degree mentoring experience. We're blending advanced reproductive science with that intuitive breeder's eye. You can stream the series today on your Doggett app. If you're unsure, visit puredogtalk.com to get connected. You can answer the call to pursue that one impossible thing. The chance to preserve, protect, and improve something that truly matters.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that is just a really important conversation. You know, my house, there is no chemicals used on my property at all. Like none. Like to get away
Not even
from
soap?
me. I'm talking on the yard. I'm not washing
Oh, okay.
the yard.
Okay. I was hoping you
We-
use soap every now and then.
No, I am not talking about in the house. In the house, there's occasionally a toilet bowl cleaner. Okay.
Yeah. But again, those are things
Talking-
you can control.
Yeah.
So pick
exactly.
the ones that are safe. Pick the ones
Right.
that make sense. Especially if you know your dog is a toilet drinker.
I would
Because
there
there
that's
are.
why the lid's always down in the toilet, you know?
There are dogs that know how to lift the lid, my dear.
Oh my God. I just cannot fathom the people who think it's just a constantly refilling water bowl. No, it is not. That is sick and wrong and no. But that's
Yeah, well,
just my opinion.
I have clients that have to strap the toilet seat down because the dog can lift the seat. So
Put down a water
Yeah.
bowl, people.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, we got just way down the squirrel rabbit hole on that one.
But it's true.
Yes, it is. And thinking about the products we use in our environment for us, for our dogs, is always an important thing. It just is. And I think I mean, I've been around people who are fanatic to the point of hysteria in one direction and
Mhm.
casual to the point of, are you thinking there, bro? In the other direction, right? So
Yep.
I think some healthy skepticism and caution. How about that? Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah. Well, I think all things in moderation, and I think it makes
Right.
sense to do the right things. There's studies that show that leafy green vegetables and brightly colored vegetables are better for you, things like that. Those are easy things to do.
Yep.
So just pick your priorities and decide where you're
Pick
going to
your
spend
battles.
your time and your money and your effort. And do the best you can, like you said, and do the best you can with your kids and your pets and your family. And that's all you can do. And if something doesn't go right, well, sometimes things don't.
Some days Mother Nature is a bitch, which I have been known to say before. Speaking of Mother Nature is a bitch, how about the genetic pieces of cancer? Because we know there are indications or ideas or, a propensity toward something that could trigger a cancer, stuff like that. So what can you tell us? What can you fill us in on that basic concept?
That veterinary geneticists and oncologists have been looking for DNA markers for these diseases for better than 25 years.
Yeah.
They developed the dog genome 12 or 13 years ago. Elaine Ostrander did that. It was amazing when it happened.
I think it
But
was
we're
like
still-
20 years ago.
Oh, maybe, I don't know, whatever it was. But we still don't have a diagnosis for a lot of these really common kinds of cancer, and it's very frustrating to people. Easily 25 or 30 years ago, I was sending lymph nodes from dogs with lymphoma that we diagnosed in our practice, put in liquid nitrogen, which wasn't easy to get, and shipping them to Yami Mariano when he was at AMC in Denver. He's been at the vet school in Minnesota for many years, still doesn't have the DNA marker for lymphoma or hemangiosarcoma, which we know have genetic components. We know they do because we can watch them go down families. We
Right.
can see osteosarcoma. But the question with osteosarc is it genetic or is it related to the weight of the dog? Because it's typically the heavier bone dogs that end up with osteosarc. Although my first litter of corgis, I had a male corgi that died from osteosarcoma, completely broke all the rules about it. So that, there's definitely things that we don't know. We see transitional cell carcinomas, and we can say they're more common in Westies and Scotties. So if you can say it's more common in this breed, if you can say hemangiosarcoma is more common in Labradors, Goldens, and German Shepherds, and we can say lymphoma is more common in golden retrievers. I mean, if it's a 7-year-old golden retriever, it walks in the door, it's not feeling well, it's either hemangiosarc or hemangiosarc or lymphosarcoma, unless it's proven otherwise. And that's the first thing that we jump to. We don't have great blood tests. We don't have great DNA tests. Are there some tests? There's some early evidence that some of the tests can be used for early detection, but they're not perfect yet. So what do you do? Take your golden retriever in twice a year and have them ultrasound the spleen? Where does common sense start and leave? Like, where's that line? And there are people that 6 months, every 6 months, ultrasounding the spleen of a golden retriever isn't a bad idea if you have a dog that has a tendency to do that, to have a line of genetics that has that. But we just don't have the DNA test. So the general public acts like, well, you should be able to prevent all these cancers by not breeding these dogs. Well, we can't because we don't have markers to know. And if we don't want to ever breed another golden retriever with lymphoma or osteosarcoma or lymphosarcoma, that means we're never going to breed another golden retriever. And that's not a real practical solution. So that's where we get into trouble, is we just don't have the ability to completely screen these dogs and then breed clear dogs to clear dogs. The day that those tests are accurate and come to market will be a day of celebration for every dog breeder in the country.
Unbelievable celebration.
But it's not here yet.
No, it is not.
And it's not for lack of trying, and it's not for lack of money. They have poured buckets of money into this. AKC Canine Health Foundation, Morris Animal Foundation, all these really important research organizations, the veterinary schools, all these really great research places, they've spent their career lifetimes looking.
Well, I'm sorry. People, hi. Are we not going to breed people because they get cancer?
Exactly. And the human being is the most diverse genetic creature on the planet. We travel around the globe to mate. It's not just like the birds that fly a little ways down the road to the next nest. People fly all over the world, and we've still got this genetic mix that doesn't perfectly prevent cancer. So until we have DNA tests, my mother and my mother's mother died from Hodgkin's. Would I like there to be a DNA test so that I would know what my risk factors are? You bet. Are there some DNA tests for people for breast cancer and some of these things? Yes, there are. But we're not to the point that we can say that it's a perfect solution. And what are you going to do before you marry somebody? You're going to go out and DNA test them and say, nope, sorry, can't breed to you. You're out.
Well, and I think I know a lot of people in a lot of breeds that are working around major issues with hemangio, particularly Spinoni, have a terrible time with it.
Yes.
It is a bit of a problem in my breed, but not anywhere near what it is in Spinoni. And they are all consciously trying to work around hemangiosarcoma, epilepsy, whatever it is, that there's no way they can test for. So they're doing what dog breeders have done for many, many centuries, which is use their gut, work around it, work with what you have.
Right. So if the dog's mother died of lymphoma and the dog's father died of lymphoma, maybe
Don't
you shouldn't
breed that dog.
breed those together. But it doesn't mean, and maybe it doesn't mean you don't breed that dog. Maybe it means you breed a dog to a line that you believe is as clean as it can be, based on the history of what you can glean from what people are willing to share with you.
Right.
Because not everybody shares everything.
No.
So it's a challenge. But transitional cell carcinomas, they're supposed to be more common in Scotties and Westies. I had a corgi with one. It's That's what you lost breed to.
I had a TCC, which is associated with this situation. I had a billion years ago, I had a bone cancer in my hairs. Like, that's not a thing. I had somewhere along the way, one of the dogs or another had, oh, now I'm going to forget the name of it. Which one was it? Some very strange, like, the vet had only ever seen it 4 times ever in her career. Pancreatic cancer, that was it. Pancreatic cancer in a dog. Mother Nature is a bitch. And in that case, that bitch had been heavily exposed. That particular animal had been heavily exposed to the agricultural. She was hunted heavily in the Midwest in cropland, which is sprayed with God only knows what.
A lot of stuff, because otherwise we would have 1/8 of the amount of food to eat in the world. So we have to realize that there are trade-offs, that we let people starve to death because we can't feed them, or we take the chance that we have with the information that we have about these chemicals that are used in our crops and in our animals, in production. So there's not an easy answer to any of this.
No.
Because we have these are all exchanges, all trade-offs that we have to make. Do you want to spay your dog, or do you want to not spay your dog and end up with, all the risks, all the benefits, and all the things?
Right.
So there's an unintended consequence for everything that we do.
Yes.
And that's the problem, is nobody intends to cause cancer because they spray the chemicals. Nobody intends to cause cancer because they neuter your dog. But there's more prostate cancer in neutered dogs than intact dogs. But that's not what your veterinarian is going to tell you. They're going to tell you the opposite, which is not true. So there's a trade-off for everything, and we just have to do the best we can to make the most perfect solution for what we can justify for time, cost, and energy that we put into things. So that's really, the hard line is, if somebody, we're not going to cure cancer. Not me and you.
Not you and I. You and I are not going to make it to that point. We hope someday for the future that they can. That will be a glorious, glorious day. So you guys, anybody that has any extra money laying around, check out AKC Canine Health Foundation, because they are continuing to spend every penny they can rub together to try and get to that goal.
Right. We do the Pink Paw, which is funded by us and the University of Wisconsin, looking for a marker for breast cancer in dogs. So there's a Pink Paw. If you have a particular need to donate to a specific reason or specific cause because you lost a beloved pet to one of these, you have that as a way that you can donate in their memory. You can pick a disease, you can pick a breed, you can pick a disorder. There's a lot of things that you can do, and you can help with funding those things. Can you be guaranteed that the direct result of your money is going to be a solution? Absolutely not. But we all have our causes that we want to support and donate to, and this is a really good place to go, because AKC very carefully assesses the research projects that they fund. So it's a very safe way to put your money to the best use possible, and many times there are matching funds for some of these as well. So just think about how you want your legacy to look, and how you feel about a particular dog or line of dogs that you feel passionate about. That's a good place to put your resources.
100%. We all work together someday, God willing. How long did it take them to get the dog genome? I mean, that was only like 50 years they were working on it. So.
Well, I mean, Crick and Watson discovered DNA back in the 40s or 50s. So, all things considered, that's
50 years.
Cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
But once the dog genome and the human genome was determined, then it all starts to fall into place much more quickly, and artificial intelligence is going to even speed that up more. But there is not a good, easy answer, because so here's the problem, is that the way DNA research works is the most rare diseases are the easiest to diagnose, because those are the ones that when you look at the whole genome, there's clearly an outlier gene that they can pick out and say, okay, this really, really rare disease is a concern. Or the things that don't kill dogs, like long coat in corgis is a fluffy. Sure. Long coat in the corgi, the German Shepherd, the Malamute, they're all the same DNA marker. Those are easy to diagnose because you can see if the dog has it or not.
Right.
some of these diseases that don't develop until they're 15 years old, it's not as easy to diagnose. So it's frustrating to people that don't understand research and science to say, well, why did they discover the DNA for this disease? Because it doesn't matter. Long coat doesn't kill dogs. Dog corgis don't die because they're born as a fluffy, but because it's easy to diagnose, or because it's an outlier gene that's really, really rare, it's going to show up first on those sorts when they start looking at DNA. And I don't know a lot about DNA. I know a few words, but the first time I went to the canine genome lecture on SNPs, and I'm like, what's a SNP? I don't even understand. What is this language? I don't get it.
I interview the DNA people and I
Yeah.
go like this.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what I do. 'Cause I'm like, I don't know.
You just go, that's really interesting, very cool.
Neat.
But we're getting smarter and smarter all the time, but the smarter we get, sometimes the dumber we get, and the more frustrated we get, because we feel like we should understand it enough to have better control, and the reality is it's not happened yet, but it will. I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, but it will happen, that there is someone who can figure out how to prevent cancer, how to gene splice to treat cancer. There's going to be some very, very cool technology that happens, and it gets better all the time, but only because we have clinical trials, only because, and I had a discussion with a client about this last week, only because we have clinical trials, only because we have dogs in research projects. And even as much as I love dogs and would hate to see a dog have to have something done with them, sometimes that is our only way to get some of the answers that we need for science and for better human health. So we have to accept the fact that research is a thing, and we have to support it.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, Marty, I think we traversed quite a distance.
We did.
And hit some hot topics. So you guys catch us again next week. You never know what kind of a hot topic we might come up with between now and then.
Yeah, we're always thinking. So add some ideas to us.
You never know. Shoot us an email. Give us a new hot topic, you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Hey, friends. Did you know that the Marty and Laura Show website has a special page just for young animal lovers? Whether your child is meeting their first pet or already dreaming of becoming a veterinarian, Kids Corner is a place to explore animals through creativity, curiosity, and age-appropriate learning. Designed for young animal lovers and their families, these resources encourage empathy, responsibility, and a lifelong love of pets. Start off with a free coloring page. That's right. A new coloring page is available regularly. Download one free and check back often for new designs. And if you love that free page, take your coloring adventure further with the 10-page Color Me Pets coloring pack for just $5. Each page is filled with adorable, breed-specific dogs and fun educational prompts that spark creativity and curiosity. This pack is perfect for kids who want to explore, who want to color, and who want to discover more about pets. It encourages careful observation, fine motor skills, and an appreciation for animals, all while providing hours of fun. Plus, it's an easy, printable download, perfect for rainy days, long car rides, or creative play at home. Artwork by award-winning artist Sandy Mesmer, the Color Me Canine collection brings even more adorable pets and fun designs. Explore full coloring books available online through Sandy's shop link on our page. Visit martyandlaurashow.com/kids-corner to learn more. Thank you for joining us on the Marty and Laura Show. We're excited to bring you these unique, fun, fact-based conversations about pet health. We hope you'll join us on social. Stop by the website to sign up for an extra tip of the week for your pet. While you're at it, do us a favor, please, and leave a review wherever you find your podcasts. The Marty and Laura Show is produced by Pure Dog Talk, Inc. Sound design and editing by Premium Audio Services.